automatic systems becoming more commonplace. Hiring managers are using ATS systems and automatic interview systems as well. And candidates are using software to send out their materials in masses. And scams abound and bad actors are using software to create false job ads and send out false job materials. So all of these things kind of are contributing to an overall feeling that hiring is extra hard right now. The good news is that while the job searching process has changed in many ways, the core methods that define success still hold true, even if the step-by-step is a little bit different. So on first glance, seeing things like marketing, career coaching, networking, upskilling can conjure this superhuman, career-obsessed caricature that many of us, myself included, feel really like gross about and may even feel like it's impossible to maintain. But throughout this webinar, I'm going to highlight the organic and very human underpinnings of all of these methods when they are at their best and thankfully at their most effective. So personal marketing turns into storytelling. Coaching is really just support from real humans. Networking is community building. And I'll be talking more about keeping your skills relevant near the end of the webinar, which will lead into a topic I'll be going into depth into next month. So let's start with telling your story to find your opportunities, not the opportunities that are just for any old schmo. It's for you and what's going to suit you the best. So I know it can feel like more tech is making a colder world, and this may be the case in some ways. A lot of what we do at Skillcrush is helping get creative, empathetic people to realize that at its best, tech is about increasing quality communication between humans. Because AI is being used to allow bots to mass apply to jobs, hiring managers are harnessing methods to meet you now and oftentimes more quickly, more than ever. And this is something we've gathered from interviewing hiring managers in this modern job market process. And if you have ever encountered an interview where you could tell that your interviewer was an AI of some kind, which happens as we've seen from deep fakes being created to simulate a human that is asking the questions, as well as chatbots, and has been some of our students come back and feel kind of discouraged by this. But I would encourage a kind of reframing to acknowledge what this is about. This is a response to how companies are getting more applications. And humans are still, so they're trying to make it a process that's doable for them to interview a large amount and get impressions, live impressions from real humans from large amounts of applicants. Humans are still reviewing the standout candidates, and getting a view into who you are helps them sift through how they are getting more applications than ever. So your personal brand and marketing is storytelling. You'll want to answer questions like, what challenges have you faced that shape the priorities you have today? What perspectives do you bring that add something new to the table? How do your values show up in the ways that you approach your work interactions and workflows? What sort of work energizes you, and how does this connect to who you are as a person? And what does all of this past experience tell about you? So other than your actual skills, think what hiring managers are looking for in a good candidate. They're looking for reliability, follow through, excitement for the work, values that match the company. So saying, yes, that's me is easy to say and easy to dismiss. So your story is how you show that these qualities are true for you. Sorry for the typo there with the connects. It's funny because I actually corrected that yesterday and I corrected it wrong. It happens. So ATS and AI are changing the vocab that we use to storytell. JobBite is an ATS company, and they gather data from thousands of applications and found that only 2% of applications get a response. So get coaching on how to work with ATS systems to your advantage. And that said, employee referrals are 10 times more likely to land the job. So it all comes back to human connection. And I'll be talking about a little bit more about how to secure those employee referrals if that feels totally unreachable to you a little bit later. Even tech tests are a form of storytelling. Companies are putting protocols in place to have cameras run while testing, and tech test questions are changing now that candidates have access to AI. But this doesn't mean that the main point of tech tests has changed. A large portion of our audience of our clients at Skillcrush are career changers who are learning tech skills and getting into their first tech job ever. And part of this is a reframing to help them understand that you may not even understand this if you are currently a tech professional, that tech tests are not actually about finding the one and true and most spectacular um, answer to the questions that are asked. They are a lot more about getting insight into your problem solving process, how you approach a problem that you haven't encountered before. So it's more important to companies that they challenge you with something that you can't easily look up by using AI tools and Google because they want to see how you respond. If aren't already working as a developer, you may not know that you're not being paid to know everything. You're not being paid to be an oracle. You're being paid to figure things out. You're being paid to do things that haven't been done before, usually combining multiple things that maybe have been done in certain ways in a unique way that hasn't been done before. That is the value offer that your company has to try to stand out from the competition. So you're always thinking outside of the box. And that's what tech tests are about. They're storytelling as well. Next, I really encourage getting support from real humans. Never search alone. Job searching is a community process, and you have a whole team behind you that's going to be comprised of your peers, recruiters, ideally, and coaches. A core tenet of our mission at Skillcrush is to demonstrate how much more powerful we are when we do things together. For our students who are career changers, changing careers is hard. For our existing tech professionals, working in tech is hard. For our job searchers, finding the next opportunity is hard. And you know what? For many of us struggling in the economy on a day-to-day basis, frankly, just living can be hard right now. But we know we can do challenging things together. This phrase, never search alone, comes from Phil Terry's peer-based job search community. And I just really love that as like a phrase by itself. Before I get to what's special about what we provide as coaches, I want to touch on how important the other members of your team are. So there's your peers. They can help you make hard things easier. You will feel disheartened at times, and camaraderie can stop that from holding you back. Julia Evans, the author and illustrator of Wizard Comics, which she uses to break down tech down into fun comics, highly recommend, love it. She does a talk about making hard things easier and the importance of human connection in this process. Don't underestimate the benefit of sharing the difficulties of going through a challenge with other people. The camaraderie can keep you pushing forward, which is the main difference maker for our students. I'm an enrollment counselor as well, and people ask me like how like what students succeed in your program? And really the only key difference we've seen is the ones who succeed keep moving forward, keep going. When they're struggling, when they're feeling down on themselves, when they're feeling disheartened, they reach out for support and they get that support and get back on the horse. And that's the only way that they're going to reach that finish line. Also, finding truly quality resources is hard. AI and search engines are based on data, and who gets the most hits is not always aligned with who offers the best quality. This is true across many things in, human experience, pop music, books, and what companies have the most traction is oftentimes more of an accident of who is already has, funding, backing, maybe is, richer, already knows people that are in within those circles. So it's not necessarily going to be your best indicator of what the best and quality resources are. Real humans with experience can shortcut this process by sharing resources with each other. So just touching on again, only people who keep going can reach the finish line. And the other part of this is you never know where opportunities come from. We hear time and time again from our students at Skillcrush that they were made friends with somebody and then that friend got hired at a company. Then that company had another opening. That friend reached out to them and said, I would think you should apply. I'll give you my reference. And then now that company has multiple skill crushes working under them and they're very happy. And I have personal experience with this. I made friends at Skill Crush and I freelance with my web development skills. And my very first freelance gig was handed directly to me from a friend of mine at Skill Crush. And I didn't have to apply for it or anything. She just knew that I did good work. She asked the person, I told them, I don't have time for this. Do you mind if I pass it on to a trusted colleague? And it completely changed the trajectory for my ability to earn money doing things that I love. Start with who you already know. Phil Terry talks about conducting what he calls reverse exit interviews, where you ask former coworkers and managers, what did I do well? What skills do you think I brought to the table? What roles do you think I'm naturally suited for? To find out where your strengths lie. And if you have friends or acquaintances that are in the know and kind of part of the hiring process or have connections to multiple companies, ask them, if you were in my shoes, what would you do next? Next is recruiters. Recruiters are not just your connection point to a specific job, which is how people often utilize them. They can be a career concierge, which is somebody who helps you make connections across multiple different people and organizations. And they can connect you to relevant people to network with, not necessarily to have a job opening, but to expand that network, which I'll be touching on in a little bit, should actually be an end goal of yours, not always just to get a job, because of that whole idea of you just never know where opportunities are going to come from. And you want to really expand your sales so that the opportunities are hitting you, and networking is how you do that. Ask recruiters, what roles do you think I'm a good fit for right now? Recruiters have a pulse on the market and the rate and the relationship you've already built with them by asking them these types of questions can pay off in valuable advice or opportunities in the future. Companies like PowerToFly have a great benefit of working with hundreds of companies to help people connect to the opportunities that will be the best match for them. So this is one I haven't created a slide for, but broaden your mindset to think about not just the roles you've done in the past, but where your skills can match into multiple different kinds of roles. This is called creating your market fit, which might take you places that you didn't expect and take you into jobs that you loved more than you could have imagined. And these kind of questions with the people that are around you can help guide you there. And then when it comes to coaching, there's a lot of stories that we hear, and I've experienced for myself as well, about how you just don't know what you don't know. People will come in to sessions and say, I don't know, I read a lot of articles, like I feel like I pretty much know everything I should be doing right now. I just came in because I had a scheduled, chat going. But what they really find out is that once they get chatting with their coach, the coach is like, oh, did you know that there's a job like that? Did you know you can combine your Salesforce knowledge with your new tech skills and become a Salesforce developer? Did you know that you can combine your project manager knowledge with your technical knowledge and become a technical project manager? And that oftentimes pays better than of your previous jobs. And they're constantly blown away by those types of things coming into play that they just would not have known. And they would not have even known to search for it because they didn't know what they didn't know. This also comes into play with resources all the time. And then coaching involves helping you clarify your narrative, both internally, how you talk to yourself about your own story, and externally, so that you can shortcut to hiring managers recognizing that you are the perfect candidate that they've been looking for. As I say at the bottom, use coaches to help you refine your narrative so that it activates that light bulb in hiring managers' minds that you are who they are looking for. So your story starts with you, but to become an effective bridge to others, you will need outside perspectives. You might think that you've got it polished up to your own standards. It's very clear to you when you read it, but you are you, and your story is more obvious to you than it is to other people. So communicating it to others will really help you know how it's hitting with other people. Career coaches are a dedicated rehearsal space to use instead of having job opportunities pass you by while you get good at the skill of storytelling. A lot of our students thought that they had been reading articles about how to refine their resume, what questions to ask at interviews, but they don't realize how incredibly important practicing that skill is, and that they get better at it over time in multiple sessions with us in our one-on-one mock interviews. You could be using that time when you start to land interviews with hiring managers and learning your lessons in kind of a more hard knock kind of way where you just aren't landing the jobs and you're wondering what you're doing wrong and you're not getting direct feedback. So why not do that in a setting where you're getting good, and then when you have that opportunity that's getting lined up for you, you are ready to take it. And another thing I want to touch on, that our job is to get you a job. So that's all we're focused on. That's our that's our bread and butter. So let coaches do that. And you can do challenging things if they're doable. A lot of these things, they're much, much easier said than done. Get your next job, land a great job. But this is a huge thing to do. All big accomplishments are a series of small steps, and creating the plan itself is a big hurdle. So coaches break this down into a doable process for you so that it becomes achievable. They help you be organized. We do this by really reframing everything and having you create it into a resource that's going to be accessible for you, usually by creating reference documents for yourself and Excel sheets to track your job search and all the important parts of it, which include networking. Keep it fun is a really underrated part of this. You're not really quite seeing it because I am using like our theming at PowerToFly, but at Skillcrush we put a lot of effort into making things colorful and light, and that is very, very purposeful because it's things are more doable. You're a lot more likely to do them and feel fulfilled in doing them if they're fun. And so this is a really underrated thing that we actually put a lot of effort into. And coaches can help you keep your fire stoked. You may have an initial motivating event, pivoting you into desiring a career change, desiring a better job, or even propelling you into just needing your next opportunity. But that fire is not reliably something that's going to keep you alive on a day-to-day basis. You need to be doing things to keep that fire stoked and that energy that you'll be getting not only with a career coach, but also ideally in a group setting as well with other people that are trying to get hired with you at the same time as you, can help you keep that motivation going and help you vent as well, because this process is hard and very vulnerable, which I'll get to in just a second. Network to strike gold. So networking is a marathon. It's easier said than done. And so whenever somebody's like, I'm going to be running a marathon, that's my goal for the New Year's, you're just like, oh, sure. Okay. It's much easier said than done. And it's a very vulnerable process. There's no way around that. Once you start saying it, everybody has their eyes on you if you're actually running a marathon. But also the like job searching, the definition of it is putting yourself out there to find a job. And you're putting yourself out there to face rejection, which you will. And that, is something that's just hard to get through psychologically. So it's that's one of the important reasons why coaching is really important to help you keep going. Lean on support so you don't fall by the wayside. Seasoned marathon runners know this as well. They decorate the running path with their friends and family to help keep their fire stoked so they could reach the finish line. So let's talk about the hidden job market. In an interview with Matt Youngquist of NPR, with Matt Youngquist of Career Horizons with NPR, he said that 70% of jobs are not on job boards, and that anywhere from half to upwards of 80% of jobs are filled through networking. So I know this can feel daunting when you're like, I don't have a giant network, but you can absolutely create that by going to events like at Power2Fly. Chat and learns like this one are often times constructed with people who have powerful positions and say within companies. And also they hold regular job fairs and seminars for free for you to be a part of. What you're doing is you're trying to get into the pool of people that companies are drawing from when they need to hire by going out to meet them. Again, your end goal is to network. They may not have the perfect opportunity for you right at that time, but it doesn't mean that they won't in the future. And we've had multiple students at Skillcrush have positions created for them because the effort they put into networking paid off. By the time a job is on a job board, it's oftentimes too late, especially if it's on LinkedIn or Indeed and it's a remote position that may or may not be getting thousands of applications. So ideally, companies don't want to put jobs on job boards for that reason. They don't want to be faced with thousands of applicants that they've never met. When they have a job opening, they have a pool of their own network to draw from, their talent pool, and you want to become part of that. All right, so now let's look at some quick little testimonials from our alum at Skillcrush.
I'm not hearing anything. Um, did you share your audio?
Is something weird with the audio?
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. When you go to push share on your screen, like when you go to do screen share, there's a little box that says options, and you got on the right-hand side, you have to have share sound ticked. Apologies, I would have run you through this and I didn't think about it. My apologies.
I surprised you. That's okay. Okay, so um switch this I have screen share, then
So when you go to do screen share and it has you like pick which window you're going to share and all that, on the
I'll stop
right-hand
share
side
and
of
do
that
it again.
option should say layout, and there should be one for share sound.
Got it. Thank you, everybody.
All of this stuff that was just super overwhelming. And I was like, well, I just wasted a year of my life because, yeah. I like prior to starting to get hired, like program, I think was like, I'm ready to start applying for jobs. So I went on to like LinkedIn jobs or, just started Googling like web developer jobs. And I got like instantly like overwhelmed because, those job descriptions have like, the entry level job requires 15 years experience and you've got to be proficient in all of these front and back end languages, even though it's only for a front end role. And there's like all of this stuff that was just super overwhelming. And I was like, well, I just wasted a year of my life because I'm clearly never going to get a job. And starting the Get Hired track really just helped me like hone my my resume and my LinkedIn and just kind of get everything like pointing in the same direction. Like I am a web developer. This is what I do. And I would say like having a background in theater, I'm like I have nothing to put on my resume. Like sang on cruise ships and like babysat. Like, how do you like? This doesn't like get me hired into a tech job, but kind of working on how to like reframe those jobs to how they could apply in tech, and it's like being a problem solver or whatever, and kind of reframing the mindset to be like, no, like own what you've done prior. It's, you know, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed by the career I had beforehand. I'm just now deciding to change to a new career, and that's totally fine, and that's good. So I will say that definitely helped me. And interviews, I like there was like the whole checklist, like before an interview, like, you know, do your research, have questions laid out, and it gave a bunch of like sample like questions for when they ask like, do you have any questions for us? Then there's like some sample ones, and that really helped me, and it helped me like not feel nervous going into an interview, or at least less nervous, because I felt like, okay, I have things. And of course, if you're doing a video interview, you just have your little like Google sheet right there next to you, and you like talk. And now I am actually a manager, and I conduct interviews to hire people, and I will say how few people come prepared to interviews. So if you are prepared and you do have like thoughtful questions, or have like done your research on the company beforehand, like it really makes a difference. And it just really, yeah, it makes the like whole interaction just go smoother, because yes, they, you know, companies want to hire someone who like knows the technology to some degree, but also is just going to be a good fit. Like, are you going to be a team player? Are you going to be willing to continue learning on the job? And are you going to, you know, take action or whatever? And yeah, so getting those points across in an interview can really like encourage them to pick you.
That's fair. And I try, like, given I haven't gone through the get hired track yet, obviously, but whenever people ask, I'm like, no, like the thing is like you learn skills not only for this job search, but like every job search you have kind of going forward, like to know to ask questions and things like that. So that's really cool. I guess kind of piggybacking on that a little bit too. Was the process of applying for tech jobs different than like what you thought it would be and when you were going through it all, or do you feel like the get hired track kind of help set you up for success with that, or anyways? Yeah.
Yes, I think the get hired track like completely changes the way that you approach job searching. And if you're just going on like Indeed or LinkedIn jobs, and you're just like blindly like hitting like submit application to 10,000 jobs, you're never going to hear back from them, because you're just like in the sea of job applications. So the way that the get hired track like kind of reframes the whole process and kind of flips it on its head is scary, but it works. Like and it's all about connecting with people, and that's really, you know, I guess just the human experience is connecting with people. So it's how you get hired in a job.
That's fair.
Okay. I have a second one, but just so we're not running over time too much and your questions are all more important to me, let's get back into this little wind up here. So it brings us to keeping your skills relevant. So in the Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum, AI, big data analytics, cybersecurity, and cloud computing are the top trends for in-demand skills. And I really emphasize AI here, because on December 17th, I will be hosting a webinar on in-demand AI skills for the future of tech. It's actually called the AI Skills That Employers Want, and it will be through PowerToFly. So I would really love to see you there. We will be discussing how machine learning isn't the only or even the best way to get into AI, how to find a way to organically fit AI into your current tech niche and area of interest, how to take your tech skills to the next level with AI tools, how to ethically work with AI tools, and how to get on board with coding the generative AI programs that have the improved retrieval and domain-specific content that employers crave. And just as a teaser, we teach how to code with Gen AI. We have a course with these 3 classes on building complex generative AI web apps and enhancing generative AI web apps with domain-specific content. It includes a big final project, which is a recipe app, and also includes a bonus intro to coding with ChatGPT as a tool as well. So a lot of you had questions about actually working with AI, and that's where I'll be getting deep into that at that webinar on December 17th. So the Get Hired program includes a class on, just to bring it back around to our Get Hired program, it includes a class on completing your resume, LinkedIn, and portfolio, how to prepare for the interview. The resume, LinkedIn, portfolio class is actually like a marketing class. How to launch your job search, ace your technical tests, and evaluate and accept a job offer. And it includes 6 months of live job search support. Our career coaches are here to provide you structure, encouragement, and accountability so that you can achieve your career change goals. And you'll have access to one-on-one resume and LinkedIn reviews live, one-on-one mock interviews, one-on-one career coaching calls, as well as weekly group career coaching, email support, and a private Slack channel exclusively for job seekers. For those who don't use it, Slack is a communication platform. It's one of the most commonly used by remote companies. So we are running a deal currently that's actually specially for you all on our Get Hired program. These are the codes, and as you may already know, you can access the PowerToFly webinars on replay. So if you don't get them right now, that's okay. And I will also include in the chat the link to check out more information about the Get Hired program as well, so you can jump right into that. All right, so that's it for me.
All right, super exciting. Okay, so we've got about a little under 20 minutes left in, well, a little over 20 minutes left in today's event. So I have a ton of questions that we had received at the time of registration that y'all had asked to have us ask to Tori. So I've got a bunch of those, but then I've also been grabbing any questions that people have put in the chat as well. So please feel free to keep sending those in if you've got questions, and I will be grabbing and asking as many of those as we can get to before time runs out today. All right. Okay, let's start. Let's see. Okay. A lot of people, I know this one wasn't on the questions list, but I do want to knock it out here. A lot of people are saying that basically when they are talking about like experience with AI, most of what they're talking about is use of ChatGPT. Are there other AI tools that you think people should learn or should like kind of look into if they think that AI use might be something that they want to do?
Yes. So in this particular webinar, it'll be a little bit more geared towards the programming side. In terms of using a large language model that makes it very comfortable to ask naturally worded questions, I would actually recommend Claude over ChatGPT. And then there's kind of more specific tools. GitHub Copilot is a application that you can plug into VS Code to code with. And it will help you organically put code into your projects. And then we'll also be hosting, I believe in January, a webinar specific for designers and AI tools for designers. We have a whole host of of coding tools there that we would go over that depending on what you're doing, because there's a lot of, the more specific the tool, the more powerful it tends to be. So that it means that depending on what you're doing, there's going to be different tools for the process.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's look at some of the other questions that y'all had sent in here. How do you recommend staying up to date on AI developments? Are there specific news outlets or any resources that you follow or that you recommend?
I highly recommend TLDR. They are a tech newsletter that has multiple different specific topics. You can sign up for their tech general newsletter, and then they have ones in AI, they have ones in web development, they have ones in web design. I'm subscribed to web development, AI, and general tech. They give a very short blurb on all of the pertinent news, and they give it every single day. So that is the way that helps me keep just in the loop with just like 10 minutes of my time. So that is my absolute favorite resource. And then they'll connect you to others from there.
I absolutely love
Hannah
that. And
said that they're
I
already
love that
using
the
that.
name of it is TLDR. That is so cute. I absolutely love that so much. If you are
Yes,
ancient like
on
me, I
point.
had to look it up. TLDR is too long, didn't read, which is one of my favorite acronyms ever. I think it's fabulous. But yeah, I love that. Okay. If you are someone who has some AI knowledge, but it's come from self-study or personal projects as opposed to formal work experience, how do you recommend people talk about this? I know what I would tell them, but they are here to learn from you. So, what should people do, or what should they say if they're trying to share that knowledge, but it doesn't come from paid work experience or formal training?
The shorthand of that is that's still real experience. And you are, it's important to kind of think about this and the way to frame that by really touching on what it is that you are doing for all of those projects. And then there's ways to step it up from there to gain experience in tech that is going to be relevant. On Skillcrush's LinkedIn, I host a regular webinar called No Experience, No Problem: Three Powerful Strategies to Landing Your First Job in Tech. And personal projects are students have specified on their resumes using the language that is detailing their narrative, using ATS tracking key terms, etc., to really detail what it is that they've been doing on projects. That said, we would also encourage participating in free organizations like Chingu and Cherry on Tech, which allow you to work with groups of other techies with a project manager, web designers, and web developers all together on an app within a certain amount of time using Scrum methodology to show off how you can work with a team. And also, we would highly recommend freelancing. If you decide to break into tech with Skillcrush, with our Break Into Tech program, we include a course on freelancing as a bonus course, no extra charge, that will teach you how to land gigs, and if you want to, how to run a whole freelance business if that's your thing, which I would not have been able to make happen for myself if I didn't have guidance on that. And you can do this with your peers. I got Skillcrush friends of mine to work with me to be other developers, and my specialty is development, so I got designers. This made not only the projects more approachable for me, but also was team experience that I could further show off on my resume. And then you can also have the opportunity to get paid for it, which is just, highly enjoyable. But no one needs to know how much you got paid per thing. It's about the doing it. That's your real experience. That's honestly one of the magical things about tech, that you can jump in and get doing it so that you can land jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. We had a lot of people ask this question. I am also guilty of this. Is it okay to use AI to write or to polish your resume or a cover letter? And if so, how do you recommend people do this?
I say absolutely. It is very helpful. That said, throughout this webinar, we've really emphasized the power of your own voice. So AI, in my experience with this, is really helpful when you are feeling mushy at the end of your day, you are tired, you are possibly working a full-time job, have a family, and you're just trying to get that next opportunity, and that you're just looking at a blank page and you just don't even know where to start. So AI can really help you get out that framework in a way that's based on the data it's been fed on what makes a successful resume, what makes a successful interview answer, what makes a successful narrative description of your entire job story. But go in and insert your own voice, edit it and add to it, remove parts that don't make sense. That is really where the magic happens. And it allows you to people get worried, like, will it just sound like a generic answer? Yes, if you just copy and paste it. Also, the other side of this is the ChatGPT is only as powerful as the data that you give it. So the more that you can feed it about the actual experiences that you've put into your job, examples of your personal voice, any kind of, things that set you apart, those answers to the questions that I gave you earlier, the better answers it's going to give you as well. So starting there is going to set you off to a much better place than just saying, what makes good resume? Then that's going to be generic and it's not going to be successful for you,
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I think it is really important that like we highlight that like if you also have that kind of like blank page writer's block, that is so common, so incredibly common, y'all. Absolutely like crazy common. So this makes a ton of sense. My husband uses ChatGPT in the same way as well, where he's like, I have to write this letter and I don't know what I want it to say. Sort of says something like this, give me something to start with. And then you use that as a jumping off point. That way you can go through and be like, all right, that does not sound like something I would ever say. It's like, okay, great. That's where you start. That gets excised, or you take that even back into Chat GPT. If you are super
Yes.
stressed for time, hey, this sentence sounds weird. I'm usually more relaxed or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
utilize the tools,
Reiterate,
but
exactly.
it's not one stop shop, right? It's not, you don't
Yes.
just give it one thing and boom, you're done.
Yes, and you can kind of, you're just feeling crotchety and go in and just be like, no, that's wrong. I am better than that because I do this and this and this. And then like, please reframe this in a more professional way. And it'll get you
Yeah.
started. Editing is a lot
Yes.
easier than starting from scratch. So let it give you something to edit and edit it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what are some of the gotchas or like the mistakes we need to avoid? Like, I saw an article a couple days ago in a newspaper that had the prompt for ChatGPT still in the body of the article. I think that one's pretty obvious, but what else should people be thinking of? Danny, you're laughing. It happened. I Googled it twice. I thought it was fake. It sadly was not. But yeah, so like, what should people be thinking of?
Yeah, that's a huge one. Definitely remove the prompt. And there's like some weird little things like ChatGPT can sometimes really use, it's called like the EM dash a lot, and honestly that is very normal. I use it a lot all the time. I find it lends to natural speaking, but because people have glommed onto that so much, it does kind of set off an alert in some people's heads that like, oh, this must have been written by ChatGPT. So consider writing sentences that are using a lot of the EM dash, where it's just kind of, I mean, it's hard to think of an example in a sentence, but that's kind of a gotcha if you're trying to make sure that you come off as sincere. And I also want to touch on, I've heard from hiring managers that told us that even in their video interviews that they made a point of taking so that they could get interviews with real people, they could tell that people were reading from ChatGPT and sitting there and typing it in, that they were like on camera and they were like, I am blah, blah, blah. And so don't do that. If you're in a position where they're setting you up in front of a camera, as intimidating as that can be, their point is to see you. And go ahead and don't have like the perfect answer with every single little bullet point checked. Go ahead and say, well, from the top of my head, these are the things that come to mind, and let that flow. That said, that practice will really get you to that place where that flow for you will already be more natural and effective.
I like that. I think this is good advice. And honestly, as somebody who gets paid to talk for a living and has to fill space, I can tell you, having done this for more like the first couple events I did, rough. All right, girl, they were rough. But you look at them, like you look at my stuff now, it's a lot more polished. I have kind of phrases in my back pocket that I'm ready to spew out. It doesn't need to be, how do I put this? It doesn't need to be an episode of Good Will Hunting. It can absolutely be Groundhog Day for you. Okay. These don't have to be fabulous things that you come up with and it's great in the moment and it was wonderful in that time. And now you have to come up with something else. No, 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 no.
Keep
Come
in
up with
mind
your
the job you're
phrases.
applying
Pra
for.
yeah, practice your stuff and don't drive yourself crazy with like, oh, it has to be different every time. No. Get your shtick
You're
down and utilize that for your best advantage.
you're not an actor. You're not a politician. That's not the job you're applying for.
Yes.
And so if you are speaking in a way that that is never how you will ever speak again, when they hire you, they're going to be very confused for one. And two, that's just like, that's not what they're looking for when they're looking for a behavioral fit. People think it's all about the charisma. It's all about the being like having candor. And you're not being hired for that. You're being hired as a tech worker. So it's the behavioral fit has a lot more to do with your values and how you approach problems and problem solving than it has to do with you just being like, just coming off as rehearsed.
Fabulous or yeah, exactly. Like you're
Yeah.
not it feels like you're trying to win a popularity contest, but that's not actually what's happening. So don't let yourself get sucked into that. It can be really hard. And that's also one of the parts that makes job seeking so emotionally rough, y'all. It's because I mean, especially living in America, your health insurance depends on it. But it's that idea of like, they'll like me. And it's like, no, 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 no. You're not auditioning for best, for Miss Congeniality. Keep your eye on the prize. I love this. Okay. If people are going to use AI for, to prepare for interviews, how do you recommend they do that most effectively?
Great things you can feed to AI is the job posting itself, and ask it to ask you interview questions based on that job posting. And this will give you a lot more specific guidance than just general, what might a hiring manager in tech ask me? And it'll also allow you to kind of usually it'll make sure that you know that the job you're applying for, which is a lot of what they are going to be looking for once you are interviewing as well. As Casey touched on in the testimonial I shared, it's kind of, it can be very disheartening to hiring managers when people are just kind of don't even seem to know that the job that they are applying for. I know it can be very overwhelming when you're doing a lot in your life and you're applying for lots of jobs to keep track of them. And that's another reason why organization and structure and having a coach break things down into small, doable steps can make a huge difference, because when you are tired, literally, making decisions is a finite resource and you run out of it by the end of the day. Have you ever had a long day and somebody asks you what you want for dinner and you're just like, like they just ask you like, what's the meaning of life? And you're completely drawing a blank. That's because neurologically, you've run out of your decision-making power. And so having the process kind of like fed to you in a way that's smaller can make that doable for you. Practicing with ChatGPT with the actual job posting is a fantastic way to utilize it, so that you've already kind of addressed those types of questions before, and it helps you kind of glom onto, instead of trying to memorize every detail of the job posting, which I would not recommend, to glom onto what's big and what's important and what are the common themes, which you could also even feed to it and ask, what are the common themes here? What are what seems to be the three, just give me the three top important qualities for somebody that would be a good fit for this job, and copy and
Mm,
paste in that job posting.
love it. Okay, I like this. We did get a really good question from the chat. Katie says, I've held a director level role in the past, but my recent positions are manager level by title. Is it okay to slightly edit my job titles on my resume to better match the role in a job description? And could AI help me tailor these titles and descriptions effectively for each application?
Yes, AI can help you shortcut that process. And yes, it is okay to tweak the job titles if you are fitting within what would normally be done for that job title. With your job market fit, and when you're trying to find that, it'll oftentimes kind of give you different titles that you may have never used before, but actually do suit what you've been doing this entire time. And what you're trying to shortcut to hiring managers is that you are that fit, and they will be looking for those types of titles. And no one is doing some sort of large audit on your life to be like, was that exactly your title at your previous job? What the hiring manager cares about is that you can do the types of things that fall under that job title. So if that's what you are fitting into and you want to curate your job title to be a little bit different for that particular resume, I highly recommend doing that because, like I said, you're trying to they're usually only reviewing your job search materials for seconds. So you want to make that as easy for them as possible. And if they, touch base with your with references from your previous job, they're going to be asking about what it is that you did and how you approached it, and that'll become very clear to them that you are a good fit because, of course, you're going to be representing your story and your true experience on your resume, just in the best light.
Yeah, of course. Okay. All right, we've got time for one more question and then we're gonna have to wrap up. But what is the right balance between authenticity and oversharing when you're telling a story? I tend to ride that line hard. What guidelines? Y'all, you got to stop laughing at the jokes, okay? They're not that funny. No, like what can we tell people here? Where should the line be drawn?
No, seeing your faces is giving me life, and Danny's cracking up, and thank you so much. I love this question because I also can really relate to this, and that's one of the reasons why practice is so important. So sometimes people will have different needs. Some of them, they'll be totally short-circuiting and they just won't know what to say at all, and they'll shut down. Other people, like myself, will just kind of launch off into some other crazy thing, tell you about my gecko, and go off into a weird direction that had nothing to do with anything. So you really want that practice to hone it down, to make it punchy, to make it concise, and that won't happen without practice if you are an oversharer. And same thing on the other direction, if you're somebody who struggles to like pull things out. What else should I say? What else is relevant? That practice will make it easier over time. So, and then a good defining rule about oversharing is what you being human is very welcome. And we hear this from hiring managers over and over again. I'm not just saying that, but really the defining line is it unprofessional? If you're like thinking, maybe I should share about my dog, is that oversharing? Is your dog unprofessional? Is having a dog unprofessional? Does that make you somebody who shouldn't be working as a manager? No. So go ahead and share about your dog, especially if they're having a part where of the interview where it's more about getting to know you. Obviously, that's not the big point of the interview. So having like the main emphasis of the interview in mind will help you also keep on point because you'll know what those three things are. You'll be kind of keeping in mind by talking with your coach and maybe running through ChatGPT. What are the main things I should be focusing on this interview? So your dog isn't going to fit into those top three for the job. So you'll know to keep that kind of answer short. But is it oversharing to share about your dog? Like if it's unprofessional, then yes. If it's, straying into grounds where it's like harassment or getting into, just something that's, I don't know. Of course, harassment, but that's just what came to mind.
Oh,
But
no, it's good though. Like I tend to run it back on myself, so I'll because of how my brain is wired. Later on, I will be like, was that odd? Should I have not said that? And I usually try and think it back to myself of like, okay, if I went to a job interview and the person sitting next to me in line told me this story, would I be like concerned or would I just be like, oh, that's interesting, cool? Like if it's a concern, maybe I don't share that thought. Maybe I keep that one to myself. But
yes.
for me, that's helped. The other thing that has helped is in the past, especially when I was nervous going into a job interview, I have found a way to work that in. Like I'll, Hey, how are you doing today? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry if I ramble. I'm very excited about today's interview. I've been looking forward to this. Calling out, like, I'm really nervous because I've been looking forward to this makes you seem like you've been preparing for a while and that you are like on your game. Are you? Maybe, maybe
Yes.
not, but steal it and use it anyway. Okay. Just give yourself the best possible option there. Like, set yourself up for success. All
Yes, I
right.
love that. And it helps yeah, everybody can relate to that. You know,
Yes.
everybody's felt
Everybody's been nervous
nervous.
before. Yes.
Mhm.
All right, Corey, we are at time. I want to say thank you. This has been lovely. I've really enjoyed getting to learn from you. You had an excellent presentation for everybody. Thank you so, so much for sharing your time and your know-how. We are very, very honored and really had a good time today. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, everybody. If you're in the US, I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving and however it is that you like to celebrate. And I'm really, I was really happy to share this time with you all, and I hope to see you around. Bye,
Absolutely.
everyone.
All right, y'all. I also want to say a big thank you to our audience members today. Obviously, you have a ton of options when it comes to events like this. So we are incredibly honored that you chose to spend time with PowerToFly and Skillcrush today. Whether today was your first PowerToFly event or your 50th, I sincerely hope it will not be the last. And don't forget, you just took 60 minutes out of your day to do something positive for yourself and your career. That is not easy, okay? It is a thankless thing. We know nobody likes job hunting because there's yet to be a reality competition show based around it. So what that means is that even if you are if you're a little treat person or not, listen to Meg. Okay. Give yourself the gold star, cookie, pat on the back, coffee drink. Maybe not Starbucks is all I'm saying, but whatever it is, reward yourself. Okay. It's not easy. Job hunting is hard. It is hard on your mental health. Please, please, please be nice to yourself, be good to the people around you. And I can't wait to see y'all back here on our next event. That's going to be it for us today, y'all. Go out, have the day y'all voted for.